What is going on, guys? Welcome to our Finance Tuesdays. Hope you guys are having a great week so far. We're going to be talking about when should you be buying a house? When is the right time? When should you be looking at houses? And there are a lot of benefits to it because when you own your own place, you're not paying rent anymore, right? And you can, build equity and have different things. It's your place. You can do what you want. You don't have to be controlled by what the property says you can do with the place. And it's a nice feeling to own your own spot. But there is a time and place, in my opinion, on when you should buy a house. The first thing I would say, in my opinion, is pay off all your debt. Pay off all your consumer debt. That includes the student loans, that includes the credit card debts, the car payments. And the reason why I say that is because emergencies are going to happen in a house. Things are going to break down and you have to fix it. And if you don't know how to fix it, well, you got to outsource that and have someone else come in. Now, if you know how to fix it, well, that's great and all, but that takes time out of your day to fix the situation. Now, for me, I'm not very skilled in this department. And, I would rather focus on my YouTube page. I'd rather focus on sales and other things in my life rather than spending 8 hours of my day or my time fixing something that, or if to outsource, I got to pay for it. There's a good rule of thumb out there that when it comes to how much you should save per year, you should save between 1 to 4% based on the value of the house. So let's just say it's $200,000. Well, you should be saving annually between $2,000 to $8,000 a year on what you should expect to pay on the house on things that need to be fixed and maintained. So think of it like a car. When you have a car, emergencies are going to happen. Engine's going to mess up the, you're going to need oil changes. Tires are going to need to be replaced all the time. Now, that's a car. Imagine maintaining a house and taking care of it. And if you've got debt that needs to be paid for, that needs to be taken care of, but you're not able to pay it because you're allocating your funds towards these items, well, that just stays in the back lane and it slows you down, in my opinion. That's why I think you should, pay off your debt first. You also want to consider some other factors, such as if you're planning to have kids. Guess what? They cost money as well. And you gotta, raise your food bill because you gotta pay for food, right? So different costs come into play, health insurance as well. There's a lot of different factors that are now becoming a priority. And if you're not saving, that's another thing. If you're not saving enough to plan for retirement, then maybe you shouldn't buy a house right now. Maybe you should stack your capital, get out of debt, and then buy the house. That's my plan. Next year we'll have our Sally Mae paid off. That's the plan. As long as I continue to perform at work and sell policies and this YouTube page keeps growing. And I'm also just growing our income. And Michelle's about to graduate in December and we're going to have two incomes coming in and her income will grow even more, which is great. Now, even though we have all this debt taken care of with her car and my Sally Mae, we still have federal loans in front of us. That's going to take the longest, but I don't want to rush buying a house. I'd rather pay those debts completely off, have all this capital available in case we have an emergency, whether it's the car, whether it's the house breaking down. Like my goal when it comes to having a house is being positioned to have at least $20,000 of emergency savings in the bank in case something breaks down in the future when we first get a house. Then have our life insurance policies where we have at least 80 to 100K in our policies. Again, I don't want to use that to go out and fix things. I want to use that to start investing. So when we're in that position where we can actually buy a house, I want to make sure we're also investing at the same time because I want to have some passive income coming in while we have a house. Why? Because I want to make sure that when we retire, we're not relying on 401ks. We're not relying on things where we have to pay taxes on. I rather have things that are growing, like real estate, like gold, instead of, be in a position where, yeah, I can buy a house. That's great. But I want to make sure I'm properly secure, that everything is set up before I get to that position. Make sure we have the right insurance policies. Make sure we have no debt. Make sure we're solvent, because we don't have enough savings unless it's say something does break down, because it will happen. Something's going to happen in the house where it's going to break and I can't fix it. Then I got to outsource that money and I have to end up maybe borrowing using a credit card. Then I got to pay that back. Right. So there's just different things that I'm thinking about. Again, this is my plan, whether you agree with it or not, that's fine. But I just think when you should buy a house, everyone's situation is very different. Right. This is my, journey right now. If you're on the same journey, I would recommend getting out of debt first because it's not worth having that debt hanging over your head while you have problems with a house. It's just not worth it because you have two things going on at the same time that could just stress you out. Now, again, if you're in that predicament and you're trying to maneuver that debt, then it's going to require you to work more hours. Like I don't know how to sugarcoat that. It's just a fact of life. If you have something you want to take care of, then you got to work more, right? You got to maybe find another job to take care of that expense. You just got to prioritize things. And again, I'm not against buying a house. I think when I see videos like, "Oh, you should never buy a house," I'm like, I'm not. I don't subscribe to that. There's too many benefits to getting a house. But if you do it correctly and you put yourself in the best position possible, so you can be solvent, protected, I say go for it all day, every day. And the good thing about renting right now for me and my wife is that my credit has gotten better and I want to continue to improve it. And again, once we have no debt and we're properly solvent and we can handle 6 months of expenses in case one of us or gets fired or God forbid something happens to our job, then we have something to fall back on. So that's why I'm waiting and I'll keep waiting. I don't care what my friends or family does. I don't care. I really don't. I don't compare myself because we have our own journeys to go on. And you should do the same. Like, don't compare yourself to other people's statuses. If they got a house, if they have kids, like, don't feel like you have to rush those processes. Make sure you're financially good. Now you can handle those responsibilities because if you can't handle it, then you go backwards. And as you get older, I'll keep saying this. You only have so many working days left, right? I'm 33. I only have so many working years left. It's you could say, oh, you got plenty of time. I don't see it that way. These are important years for me. So just something to think about. Hope you guys enjoy this video today. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel. Love to hear your thoughts on when do you think you should buy a house, and I'll see you in the next one.